Absorbent and yellow and tasteless is he. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 moments that went too far on SpongeBob Squarepants.
Stroke! Come on, Gary, we're gonna be late for the big race!
Hey, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to check out WatchMojo's new series, The Worst Travel Show, hosted by me, Kyle Gatehouse. Click this link below to watch it on Facebook.
I can't wait to be famous.
For this list, we're looking at the times where Nickelodeon's plucky little sponge left a bitter taste in our mouths. Be it the dark and rather mean-spirited humor, or the disturbingly gross incidents, these scenes make us wonder if SpongeBob really has overstayed his welcome. Also, if you're lucky enough to never have seen these moments, we're issuing mature and spoiler tags just to be safe.
Ow! Okay, it's on my foot.
Number 10. Squidward's Psychotic Rampage. It's no secret how SpongeBob acts as a nuisance to Squidward, mostly by accident, but who'd ever think it'd come to this level? SpongeBob has been trying to give Squidward his happiest memory, but to no avail. Desperate, he kidnaps the depressed cephalopod and drags him to a party full of papier-mâché SpongeBob models, because that's not creepy at all.
Unfortunately, everyone I tried to invite was busy or sick, but don't worry. I used my papier-mâché skills to fill the party with your favorite person, me!
Finally fed up with his neighbor's antics, Squidward goes on a psychotic rampage and mercilessly massacres the papier-mâché duplicates, laughing maniacally and saying that this is his happiest memory.
I feel wonderful! This is it! My happiest memory!
SpongeBob can be aggravating, but there's something off-putting about Squidward finding joy in murdering lookalikes of him. Not that SpongeBob seems to mind, apparently.
He's so handsome.
Number 9. SpongeBob's Splinter. At work, SpongeBob gets a splinter jammed in his thumb, and it's too deep to remove, and too graphic for us to endure.
Okay, fine, stay. But I hope you like making Crabby Patties.
As it oozes and throbs painfully, SpongeBob becomes more desperate to get rid of it. Desperate enough to call Dr. Patrick.
You called the right person, Mr. SpongeBob.
Not even remotely concerned about his best friend's dilemma, Patrick only makes things worse, causing the swelling to grow bigger and become even more infected.
There appears to be a little bit of swelling.
Mr. Krabs finally pulls out the splinter and gets a face full of revolting pus. While the artists deserve major props for going the extra mile with the distasteful and painful imagery, there has to be a limit before you make your whole audience squeamish. Number 8. The facial designs. SpongeBob and Patrick have been making absurd and sickening faces at each other and everyone else, and their choice in expressions is terrifying. Despite Mr. Krabs' warnings, the duo holds on to two grotesque faces, causing them to completely freeze.
Patrick, we have the face freeze!
Sandy tries to help loosen them up, but their faces end up looking absolutely horrifying.
Y'all are looking much more relaxed.
While the imagery is definitely creative, who could look at these ugly mugs without getting nightmares? This could have been a good way to teach younger audiences about the consequences of being naughty. Except at the very end, for absolutely no reason, Mr. Krabs and Squidward get the worst face freezes of all, and the episode just ends on a frightening cop-out. Number 7. SpongeBob's Crabby Patty romance. Everybody loves Krabby Patties, but what happens when SpongeBob takes that love to a creepy new level? The delusional fry cook creates the perfect patty and develops a romantic attraction to it, to the point where he serenades the sandwich and maliciously destroys innocent clams that try to eat his delicate delicacy.
When we go riding, it's dandy. The way you hang onto the seat.
As time marches on, the patty starts to go rotten, as the artists generously show us with their nauseating close-ups, and SpongeBob finally snaps out of his creepy trance and eats the sandwich, way after it's expired. Maybe this is why SpongeBob shouldn't be romantically involved with anyone or anything, especially if his standards are this low. Number 6. Patrick pet-sitting Gary. SpongeBob's visiting his grandma for the day and needs his most responsible friend to look after Gary, but he asks Patrick instead.
You got it. He's safe with me.
Being the best pet sitter he is, Patrick completely neglects Gary, lets him starve, and tries to set him on fire with a flamethrower. On top of that, he bathes Gary with a fire hose and almost dries him with salt, which would have killed the poor snail. The fact that he does all this with a big dumb smile is further proof of Patrick's devolution from a likable dimwit to a selfish, uncaring moron who shouldn't be trusted with anything, like his best friend's pet's welfare. Number 5. Feral Patrick. As Patrick is already a glutton, imagine how much grosser it would be if he ate like normal starfish do. When he and his fellow ocean dwellers are reduced to their feral forms by a strange moon, Sandy studies their natural lifestyle. We get the pleasure of learning a sea star's regular eating pattern by watching Patrick eject his stomach to grab a bite. While it's nice to add some realism to a cartoon, some deep-sea habits are best left unseen, like watching our devolved pink friend force his organs out of his body. While it's stomach-churning to watch, pun intended, it's not the worst side of Patrick that Sandy has to see. Number 4. Sandy's punishment.
I think I've just found out how to get the Crabby Patty formula once and for all.
In another harebrained scheme, Plankton steals Sandy's discarded pelt to use as a disguise and swindle the secret formula.
This is gonna work like a charm.
While he endures an annoying afternoon with SpongeBob, Sandy is hunting for the creep who stole her fur, and the Bikini Bottomites do nothing to help. Instead, they tease and chastise her hairless state every chance they get.
What is so funny about getting my fur stole?
Aren't you ashamed having your pink rat flesh exposed?
Adding insult to injury, after she finally catches Plankton, Sandy gets arrested for public nudity, even though she's not that indecent compared to the other townsfolk.
Public nudity is against the law in this county.
So apparently identity theft is okay, but unwillingly being half-dressed is taboo. Either way, this whole episode served no purpose other than to humiliate Sandy and paint the townsfolk as incompetent jerks. Number 3. Mrs. Puff wants SpongeBob dead. After SpongeBob fails his driving test, yet again, Mrs. Puff finally pops, permanently unable to puff again.
Will I ever be my old self again?
No, my dear. I'm afraid you'll never puff again.
Well, at least until the end when the status quo is reset. Her usual annoyance towards her student evolves into insane hatred as she enters him in the Demolition Derby to finally silence him in the worst possible way.
Why are you still alive?
Puff didn't expect SpongeBob to survive the Derby, so she goes out of her way to kill him herself. We get it. SpongeBob can be really irritating, but that's no excuse for turning a simple, exasperated teacher into a homicidal maniac.
Not so fast! There's one more challenger!
What makes this worse is that Puff's miracle reinflation means that she tried to murder him for nothing. Number 2. Suicide jokes. After SpongeBob repeatedly fails to find him a happiest memory, Squidward falls into a clinical depression.
Wake me when I'm dead.
While he mopes around his house hopelessly, we're forced to endure some disturbing imagery.
I just can't seem to get happy. Well, that didn't help.
Including him shoving his head in the oven and stringing up some rope.
Maybe this will help.
Thankfully, both incidents were just psych-outs, but the depressing atmosphere made us all anxious and wonder if Squidward would really end it all. Suicide is a very sensitive subject to make light of, especially in a kid's cartoon. While SpongeBob has made jokes about it before, they were mostly one-off gags with no real plans to follow through, but to make it feel this real for a joke is inexcusable. Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
So, what seems to be the problem, Mr. Tentacles?
It all started when I was born.
I think you've helped quite enough today.
Number 1. One-course meal as a whole. Turns out that Plankton has an intense fear of whales, so Mr. Krabs decides to dress up as Pearl to frighten the devious microorganism. From then on, we witness Plankton suffering from extreme paranoia and horrific nightmares, until he can't go on, and just wishes for death. All while Krabs revels in his misery.
That's it, I'm done. The 4:15 bus should be along any time now.
This is undoubtedly the cruelest thing Mr. Krabs has ever done. Torturing his business rival, who used to be his best friend, to near suicide goes way beyond their petty rivalry. The worst part, even after Plankton gets much-deserved payback, Krabs still swipes a victory. And the good-natured SpongeBob helped him.
But putting on a dress to frighten him? Isn't that taking it a little too far?
Remind us, who's the good guy again?
Hey, this is Kyle Gatehouse, host of WatchMojo's new series, The Worst Travel Show. Click the link below to watch it on Facebook. For more great videos published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.